sports platform, and thus fantasy sports insurance was launched.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I do recall. You mentioned that obtaining insurance on like players and whatnot wasn't new, but it's kind of new to the fantasy realm. I think I remember back. I forget the year, but back when Willis McGahee was in college, and he was definitely going to be like the one or two pick in the draft, and I want to say he took out insurance on himself or his knee or something like that, and it turned out in that bowl game that he really got seriously injured, and I think it turned out that, at least from a financial standpoint, it didn't affect him too much because he took out insurance and everything. So it is a fascinating concept. Obviously, we're kind of transitioning over into the realm of fantasy, and it's about 3-4 years old now. How much business do you get? Is it a growing business? How is that going?
It's going. I mean, it's great. We have a nice client base. We've got some relationships with some of the high stakes fantasy groups. People sign up, and as part of their sign up, they get a policy purchase, and people get the policy as part of their package sign up, but then they also buy additional coverage. So, we've grown the business from a simple, call up, buy a policy to building it into some of the platforms out there. My goal is to get this out in front of more people and more leagues where it would kind of be an automatic given when you sign up for certain platforms and leagues. But that's growth in the future. But it's been very well received. When we launched it, the 08-09 season, we had a lot of interest. We got a lot of coverage, and there was a lot of buzz. Fantasy is constantly growing. It's a big industry. There's a lot of people involved in it, and every once in a while, there's a new piece of the puzzle added into the fantasy space. And like you had just mentioned, McGahee took out a policy on himself. Well, a lot of these professional athletes, when they're coming out of college, they know there's going to be big paydays. So yeah, they can insure themselves against the injury, but what we based the idea of fantasy insurance off of was from an ownership standpoint. A couple years ago, the Giants signed Eli Manning to a huge contract, and if I'm wrong, forgive me, but let's just say it was an $85 million contract.
Mm-hmm.
Well, $35 million of that was guaranteed money.
Mm-hmm.
So they write him a check, he gets paid $35 million. If he breaks his leg and his career is done, they still owe him that money. They're getting nothing out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So the owners of the Giants take out a disability policy against Eli Manning to recoup that money if he's injured and it's a loss. And that's what we did with fantasy. You're the owner of your fantasy league. You're drafting these players, whether you're sinking $100 in your league, $500, $10,000. You've got key players that you want to make sure perform, and that's the only way you're going to win. And if they don't, well, you're not going to win.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Now, how does it actually work? So let's say I wanted to take out insurance on, say, my starting quarterback, whomever it may be. Is there like a certain amount of games that player has to miss? 5, 10, 10, 12. How does it work? And then if that does happen, is there a payout at the end of the season, or can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way it works is if you go to fantasysportsinsurance.com, click on fantasy football, there's a few options. You have a one-player option. You pick one player, they miss 9 out of the 16 games due to injury, then you qualify.
I see.
So you buy a policy, $100, let's say, on Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers goes down week 3, he misses the rest of the season, or he misses week 3 through 10 and then misses a couple at the end because he got injured.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the season, if he qualifies, after the Super Bowl, what I do is I compile all the results of all the injured players and submit that to my underwriting group. They go ahead and approve everything, make sure that it was injury and not because, Aaron Rodgers shot himself in the leg and he's cut for the season.
There's only one plexical virus.
Yeah. So if everything qualifies, then I in turn cut a check to the team owner that had Aaron Rodgers
Excellent. Well,
it's a very simple and straightforward concept.
Right.
And, we've paid probably in the past 3 years, probably close to $20,000 in losses.
Wow. Well, I'm sure the folks that took insurance out on, say, Jamal Charles or Darren McFadden last year were probably happy about that decision.
Yeah, we paid quite a bit on those guys. And, the nice thing, too, about this, and, there was skeptics when this was first launched, because there was groups that tried it in the past, is the fact that this is a true insurance product. And I think that catches people off guard, and, when they really truly understand that, this isn't, me collecting some money hoping people don't get hurt. You're buying an insurance policy. I issue you a certificate of insurance. It shows the information on who underwrites it, and, you're going to get paid.
Right. Well, I find it, again, fascinating, and, obviously fantasy and fantasy football especially is, very much a growing business, and it seems like it's going to continue to grow as the NFL continues to grow. So his name, again, thank you very much, Henry. I appreciate it. The website is fantasysportsinsurance.com. And Henry, how would one go about actually obtaining insurance on their player? Would we have to go on the website, or do we call you, or either or?
Yeah, you can go to the website. I posted the 2012 eligible players. You can take a look at those. Give me a call, send me an email, and we'll work through it. It's incredibly simple. In the past, we had the platform set up where you can purchase it directly online, but we had some issues going into the season, so I removed that. So, I'm available. People can call me, they can email me, and we can get them set up instantly.
Excellent. And can we follow you on Twitter or Facebook anywhere?
We're on Twitter, and we are on Facebook as well.
Excellent. Well, again, Henry, thank you so much for being on the show, and all the best of luck.
Thanks, Eric. I appreciate it.
That was this week's Dynasty Podcast Interactive Segment.
Well, welcome back, Bub. How did everything go with the questioning? Are you a free man?
No, not yet.
Not officially
There's still
free.
a second round of questions. I have been narrowed down as a
You've been deemed as a problem?
a level 5 potential suspect.
Is that level 5 out of 1 through 5? 5
That's
being
bad.
the worst?
That's bad.
Shit.
They really
Shit.
think I did it. My alibi.
Yeah, what was your alibi?
Well, no, it wasn't an alibi. It was true. I told them I had to take my grandmother flower shopping.
That's bullshit. Isn't that bullshit?
No, that's the truth.
All right. Well, I'm going to let the authority figures figure it all out, but I don't think you did it. Anyway, do you happen to know what's coming up, Bob?
I do.
Yeah? You hear that? Do you hear that sound?
Yeah, there's a bomb.
No, it's not a bomb. It's a clock.
It's
You want to know what it is?
I don't know what it is.
It's the trade deadline looming.
Whoa!
The trade deadline is a looming.
Deadline.
Trade deadline is October 21st, which is next Wednesday night exactly, and I'm talking fucking exactly, right at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, not Western, not Mountain, not European Time, not Riverdale Time, not Rockdale Time, not even fucking Gremlin Time. Eastern Time, Bob, 11:59 p.m. Wednesday night, which is next Wednesday, right? November 21st. So you only got a little bit more time to make
a little bit left more
time. So that's gonna wrap shit up here, Bob. How do you think everything? You feeling okay?
Yeah, I feel a little nervous.
Why are you nervous?
Well, I don't have the man behind me is a little scary, just staring.
Well, that's episode 12 of the Dynasty Podcast. I'd like to thank Tom Berkowitz Trucking. I'd like to thank Jillian's, of course, for hosting our very successful Will the Youngless hangout. I would like to also thank Coach Zach Polucha. I'd like to thank Henry Holszweski of Fantasy Sports Insurance. I'd like to thank the goddamn security guards at Rockdale Field for tackling the goddamn assassin. And I'd like to thank all you shit bricks for listening.
Edition 3 of the Riverdale Gazette featuring the full